Our first speaker is Ms. Jamie Bryant Davis. She will be speaking from the Advanced Speaker Manual, the Entertaining Speaker Project number 3, Make Them Laugh. The title is not documented on the agenda, so the title, if you would like to document that, is To Thine Own Self Be True. Her objectives: prepare humorous speech drawn from your own experience, strengthen the speech by adapting and personalizing humorous material from outside sources, and deliver the speech in a way that makes the humor effective. She's to speak to 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Jamie Bryant Davis. To Thine Own Self Be True, Jamie Bryant Davis.
Good evening, my Toastmasters friends and invisible, but soon, we hope, guests. Good evening. To thine own self be true. This was a quote from one of Shakespeare's characters, Polonius. It was actually a warning to Polonius' son to be true to those things that would be advantageous for him. You see, Polonius wanted to squander off all of his money, and he wanted to party and have a good time, and his father was reminding him, to thine own self be true. This quote has been very beneficial for me in my life as I try to discover exactly who I am. You see, I believe that all of us have special gifts, talents, and ability. However, those attributes aren't always easily discovered. I remember a tale of a young man who sought earnestly to know what his gifts in life would be. He prayed to God day and night, and one day he thought he heard the Lord. He thought he heard the Lord say, "You're to be a preacher." So in his zeal, he ran to his pastor and prayed for the opportunity to speak before the congregation. The young man was so convincing that the pastor put him on the schedule for the following Sunday. The young man got up that morning, prepared, happy, eager to deliver this message from the Lord. But as he stood before the congregation, he was terrified, drenched in sweat, knees buckling, nervous can be. Before he could get the first word out, he knocked all of his notes to the ground. As he bent down to pick up the notes, he knocked the table over, the pulpit over, knocking over his drink. He hit his head. He looked around at the congregation. He looked to the sky and he said, "Lord, what now?" In silence, he stood for about 60 seconds. Eventually, he dropped his head. He said, "Aha." The Lord said, "That's okay." Throughout my life, I think I've heard that inward voice telling me, "Jamie, I know you think you can do this. That's okay. To thine own self be true." Let me walk you through some of my discoveries of that's okay. To know who I am, to know who you are, you have to know who you are not. I know, first and foremost, I am not a veterinarian. I learned this over the years. In my lifetime, I've had about 2 dogs. One, when I was about 10 years old, loved to pick at me. Now, I know you may say, how can a dog pick at you? Let me explain how he can pick at you. Every morning, when it was time for me to feed him his breakfast, he would take his pan and push it to the center where his chain was in the ground. He would push the chain all the way to the center. So when I would go out to feed him in the morning, I would look over and I'd say, "Max, stay there." Max would look back as if he wasn't paying me any attention. So when I would walk to the center of his area to pick up his pan, Max would take off running. So what happened when Max would take off running, his chain would wrap around my legs. So when his chain wrapped around my leg, it would cause me to flip back. So when I flipped back, Max would jump on top of me. That was not fun for me. But I didn't learn my lesson. A few years after that, I got another dog. And for no apparent reason, he just stopped eating. Had no idea why. Just stopped eating. I sent him to live with my grandfather where he received 3 square meals a day. He got chunky and everything else. Now, what the problem was, I have no idea. But a few years after that, I was babysitting my niece's hamsters and left them in the hot car. That didn't turn out well. So then in between times, I've had a couple of fish that seemed to die like within a 24-hour period. So I've come to the conclusion, I'm not a veterinarian. Now, someone I know I am also not is a mental health worker. Has anyone ever met someone who's had severe mental health challenges? Now, most of the time when you meet someone with those type challenges, you're well aware that they have those challenges. But in those situations, I tend to walk away confused. I was completely sane when I started the conversation, but by the time we're finished, I'm confused. I don't know who I am. Is it more than, am I talking to somebody else? Is it Jamie or am I Sue today? I have no idea. Let me give you some examples of some conversations I've had with people who had mental challenges that I walked away confused from. Young lady called my job. She left a message asking for me. She left a message for me to call Miller. I called the number back and asked to speak to Miller. Young lady on the other end said, Miller! Is there a Miller here? Miller! She said, baby, there's no Miller here. Who are you? I said, my name is Jamie Davis. I work with the City Rescue Commission. Your last name Davis? You know anybody that live off of Moncrief? No, ma'am, I don't know anyone that live off of Moncrief. Are you sure? Are you sure? Where do you work? I work for the City Rescue Commission. What y'all do? I said, we have a recovery program. Really? I don't need recover. Who are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for Miller. I don't drink Miller. I drink Slits Malt. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. No. Okay, baby, you have a nice day. You too. There was another young lady that had threatened someone at my job. We had to ask her to leave, and she wanted to talk to me. I get on the phone. I said, hello, how you doing? She said, you know what, Miss Jamie, you are right. You are right. I have no business starting all of this stuff at y'all place. I need to go ahead and leave. Y'all need to go ahead and tell me to go. I just need to leave. I need to calm down, Miss Jamie. I just don't like people mess with me all the time, Miss Jamie. But you know what? You're right, Miss Jamie, because if she mess with me again, I'm going to cut her gizzards out. I said, ooh. She said, goodbye. I said, goodbye. I said, we have gizzards. I'm confused. Also, mental health. There was a young lady that heard voices. Now, I know I'm supposed to be concerned about her sanity, but I'm concerned about my safety. We were leaving an appointment. She said, ooh, Miss Jamie, the voices are talking to me. I said, what are they saying? She said, they say they're going to hurt me. Did they tell you anything about me? I need to know. I would not make a great mental health worker. Last thing, I knew I was not, but it took a long time for me to realize this. I am not a policewoman. Now, I wanted to be a policewoman because I wanted to carry a gun. I just wanted to carry just to show everybody. Straighten up real quick. What you say? But then I realized a police person's job is to serve and protect. Because if you're aiming at me, I'm not trying to protect anybody but me. That was not in the cards for me. To know who I am was to know who I am not. And I've learned over the years to my own self be true to what is to my advantage. Whatever would be beneficial for me, I would then in turn be beneficial to others. I know who I am. I'm a negotiator, I'm a talker, I'm a natural born cheerleader. And anytime I operate outside of that, to myself, I am not being true, and I am ineffective. Thank you.
Thine, O self, be true. For I know what I am true to myself. And that is going to the spa at least once a month